Just to reset the room, this is the live post podcast interview with Starla. We're just asking her different questions about money, different questions like, would she marry someone that has student loan debt? If y'all got any questions for her, you can type them below. We're going to end in like 11 minutes. And if we don't have as many more questions, we may end early. So just to let y'all know that. I guess now I understand the fact that most people are addicted to overthinking and they're allergic to execution. So that's a philosophy that I like to talk about. What do you think was the relationship between overthinking and executing in your journey?
Honestly, until I executed, I have to put how do you say, like, put it to paper, put it in action. There's like pen to paper. Like, basically, I was overthinking it, thinking it wasn't possible, overwhelmed with how could I do it or how could I execute it. But once I actually like started planning and budgeting and, seeing what debt I had, seeing what income I had coming in, and actually putting the plan into motion, I was like, oh, this is doable. Even like originally it was supposed to be done in 3 years. And then I had some things that helped me accelerate it that I did. But once I put it on paper, I could physically see, okay, this is doable at least at the max 3 years. But if I do other things, I know I could get it done quicker. So that was the biggest thing, is just being able to like sit and plan and, just put it to where I could see it and visualize it. Because I couldn't, I was overthinking it, and I couldn't really see how I could go about doing it, and how I really thought it was going to take me like 5 to 10 years to pay off the debt that I had. But once I saw what debt I had and I listed it all out, and once I saw all the income and the money I had coming in, it was like, okay, I got this. So.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm always talking about visualization as well. So, definitely head nodding to what you're saying, because it's like you got to see it before you actually see it so that you can finally seize it. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you're able to visualize it, it's like you're running a path and you can actually see the end goal versus you're just running and it's foggy. When is it going to end, So yeah, that's definitely important. We got a question. What made you want to get into paying off your debt? What was that defining moment?
That's my friend. Hey, Juan. Hey, Mark. So basically, and I also talk about it on the podcast, I was in a job. I was in a job. I was making, at the time, the most money that I'd ever made. And I was just put in a position where I reported something, and I ended up being blackballed, long story short. So I was in a position where I was being treated poorly, and I just really wanted to get out of that job. So I made the decision to take another job, which came at a huge, huge cost, because I took base salary, I took a $14,000 pay cut. And if you factor in the overtime I was making, I literally took like a $20,000 pay cut. So while I did try to like budget it out and felt like, oh yeah, I could swing this, no. It put me in a very compromising situation to where I almost lost my house. I almost lost my car. So I was like, okay, I'm going to move out of my house, rent it out, make it a rental property. And by the time I was able to get it rented out, I was so behind in my mortgage. It was just kept spiraling. So I began to do Ubering. I was an Uber driver to try and help me dig out of that hole. And it was just too overwhelming. So that was the catalyst to like, okay, I got to really do something here. And so just being in prayer about it, my friend Tashan linked me up with her church. They were hosting a Financial Peace University class, so I took it. And so I was like, okay. And then another friend, Vicky, called me up and she was like, hey, we have a job opening down here in Houston. I really think you should apply. And I was just unsure. I was like, I don't really want to move, but I think I might do it. So I prayed about it for almost a month. And I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for this job. And I didn't tell anybody. I think I told my sister Val only because I needed to stay with her to come down for the interview. but I didn't tell anybody. I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And ain't nobody going to know until I accept the job. And I got the job. And now I'm literally making the most I've ever made in my life, which still for most, it may not be a lot. It may be, I don't know. But I just told God, I made a promise to God. If you give me this opportunity, I will not screw it up, and I will steward what you have blessed me with properly. I will not screw it up, because I felt when I took that job that I hated. I didn't hate the job. I hated where I worked. I felt like I wasn't appropriating everything that he had blessed me with accordingly and properly. So I promised God, I was like, I'm not going to screw it up. And as soon as I walked into the doors of my new employer, I'm like, let's get it. It took me about 8 to 9 months to dig out of that hole and to finally get that breathing room that I needed. But once I got my feet planted on the ground, I was like, I'm ready. And so January of last year, 2019, I took another FPU class just to kind of reset and get me going. In February, I took off with it. And so here I am now, less than 23 months later, debt-free.
Amazing. That is amazing, amazing. Someone asked earlier, how much did you pay off and how long?
Oh man, I paid off $93,137.84.
Nice. And I think, you got posted by Dave Ramsey. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I actually didn't know about it. I was out Christmas shopping for some decorations, and my phone was blowing up. I was like, what do these people want? My sister was trying to call me. I was like, what's going on? I can't talk right now. I'm Christmas shopping. And once I got a better internet connection, I was able to connect to Instagram, and I saw I was tagged in this post. I'm like, I literally just said, holy shit, and I started crying. I was like, yeah. I couldn't believe it, because I'm not a Dave purist. So that is one thing I advocate and I talk about in your podcast. But Dave Ramsey and his Financial Peace University laid the foundation for how I got out of debt. And when I say I'm not a purist, I used other methods of paying off debt that also helped me. But foundationally, Dave Ramsey did help me.
Love that. And I think that's just a universal lesson that people should take when you talk about that you're not a Dave Ramsey purist. You take learnings or teachings from multiple people. Maybe you have a mentor for how to save, a mentor for actually how to pay off. And then you're your own final decision making in some certain aspect, right? So just taking from a lot of different things and then just making a nice little meal. I think that's really dope. So we have 4 minutes left. If y'all have any questions, you can put them down below, or I'll just make some questions off the top of my head until 5:30. And just as a reminder, if I did not mention it already, the episode is dropping on Monday, December 21st at noon EST, 9 a.m. Oh, no, not noon EST. I changed it. It's 9 a.m. Eastern time, 6 a.m. Pacific time. So it's going to be early. Get your week started. There are episodes already of the podcast if you want to check it out. If you're just here for Starla, Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So I guess my next question, as we're about to wrap up in a few minutes, is what piece of advice would you have for somebody that is trying to be debt-free? It could be something as simple as strategies. It could be mindset. It could be belief. It could be anything.
I would say 2 things. I would say just do your research. There's so many ways of paying off debt. Don't feel like you have to stick to one method. Just find what works with you. But also, don't get complacent. Constantly evaluate whether it be your budget, like crunch numbers every month to see if there's other ways you could cut back. But just getting started for me was the hardest part. And I would also recommend, one thing I struggled with was there were points along the journey that I got kind of discouraged. So I would find what works for you. For me, I just found little small ways of rewarding myself. So once I paid off half of my debt, I took a girls trip with my friend for her birthday to Jamaica, and that was just bomb. And we like budgeted and found a cheap Airbnb. So there was just ways to financially like really do it. And then I did like an air fryer when I got under 20,000, and then I did like a stationary bike when I got under 5. Just find little things in little ways. That could be as simple as a manicure, a pedicure, or getting your hair done. But just so you don't get bored, just so you don't get discouraged. So just start and find what works for you, and just don't get complacent.
Okay, cool. We're going to take one more question. I think you kind of just answered how you rewarded yourself, so we'll go with what's next for you.
What's next is just save. Like when I paid my debt off, I had $5.37 in my savings account. So I've just been saving. I've also put a little in one of my investment accounts, so I've been investing more. And my goal for 2021, I've already started increasing my retirement contribution. So right now I'm at 5%. By next month I should be at 7%. And then yeah, but just saving and investing more for right now. And then next year, provided COVID, allows, I'm going to hopefully travel internationally next year. So we'll see.
Okay, see. Awesome. Fingers crossed. Awesome. Okay, I want to respect everybody's time. We're right on the dot. Appreciate y'all coming tonight. Appreciate you, Starla. I know they're going to get value with the episode on Monday. So make sure y'all follow at Debt Free Podcast. Make sure y'all tune in 6 a.m. Pacific time. If y'all are, Houston time is 8 a.m. So 8 a.m. Houston time is y'all are at work, getting your day started, and tune into Starla's story. With that being said, appreciate y'all. I'm going to end the live. Thank you, Starla.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.